There's a real secret out there in the world. It's called grandparents, family, friends, parents. Some of my fondest memories. My grandfather died when I was a young boy. I was 11 when he passed. But some of my fondest memories are him sitting me down and explaining to me a little bit just about how life worked. I came home crying from school, or I don't know, something hadn't worked out particularly well. There was always him, and my grandma too, my parents as well. And as I got older, of course, my friends, who would just explain to me a different perspective, a different way of looking at things. And they did so voluntarily, and they did so out of love. They loved me, they wanted me to succeed, they cared about me. And I think it was because they loved me and they cared about me and they just wanted me to succeed that I was able to remember those lessons and use them moving forward. And when I think about the difference between that and the type of advice I've received or ideas I've received in the past from people who I didn't think loved me, didn't think cared about me, wanted something outside of me to succeed, it was harder to listen to their advice a lot of the time because it just wasn't being communicated with me in mind. There's a principle in Judaism which is so different to the rest of the world, but it's super intuitive to human beings. And that is, you got to teach what you know. You learn something powerful about life, you learn an insight, you get a new perspective, you realize that Judaism looks at the world a little bit different than the country that you're from or the education system that you grew up in. You got to share it with people that you care about and love if you feel it will be of benefit for them. Because otherwise it's almost like squandering the power of the insight that you had. I mean, why would we not want someone who we love and care about and want to succeed to have information, ideas, insights that are going to help them? Lord knows, people are doing great in life, of course, but there's aspects of life where they're struggling. Relationships, the people's inner worlds. These are not things that we're taught that much about school. I mean, there's all these videos about how people aren't even taught about money in school or how to do a tax return in school, let alone how to really build a healthy relationship, how to practice self-love, how to relate to spirituality, how to talk about or understand the parts of themselves that keep us awake at night. You know, that when we wake up in the morning, we feel lonely and life's not meaningful enough sometimes. There's a whole world out there called Jewish spirituality that talks directly to those points. And when we have friends and even in our own lives, you gotta teach these ideas. Anything that you hear, you have to share. You know, we as a society, we were a proud nation, the Jewish people. We, you know, thousands of years ago, we had an enviable civilization, and a cornerstone of that idea of that civilization was share what you know. If you have wisdom, we democratized it. If you have wisdom, share it. Best idea wins. Shoot down the idea if it's not a good idea, work with the idea if it is a good idea. But we democratize the idea of wisdom. There's no hierarchy. You don't qualify as a teacher. You share what you know. And now, in our societies, where we've been mixed in with millions of cultures over thousands of years, we've lost so much understanding of the brilliant, insightful, fundamental, and super important truths of Jewish philosophy. So when you learn something and it resonates with you, it's an act of leadership, it's an act of rebuilding the Jewish people, it's an act of cultural identification, it's an act of national pride, it's an act of love and care and concern for the person that you're with when you share with them what you know. Whether it's a point of information about Judaism, oh, I didn't know that before. Right? Whether it's a point in wisdom, my life would be so much better if I use that idea. It really, really helps me. So you've got to share. But how do we share? Not by preaching. Not by preaching. Education only really works, ethical education, moral education, spiritual education, when it's based in the person who's listening gaining their own insight about what's being said. That people have to be in a calm place, in a loving place. It can never be judgmental. It needs to be based in a question that the person asked, an experience that a person is having, something where their heart is open to hearing insight about their relationships, about their inner life. Here's an idea I heard that really worked for me, that really transformed my understanding of this. But no judgment, no implication for them. Oh, if you'd known this, you wouldn't have done that. No, 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 no. Sharing wisdom is caring about people. So you got to share because you got to care, right? And you've also got to share in a way that shows that you care.